Hi, and welcome back to Uproarious. I'm Rory, and today we're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the category of love, belonging, and esteem. Love, belonging, and esteem refer to interconnected parts of our relative position in our society and our relationships with others and ourselves. Love, belonging, and esteem refer to both our perception of ourselves and the way we believe other people perceive us. By understanding our needs for love, belonging, and esteem, we can improve our relationships with our emotions and make ourselves a little bit less vulnerable to inappropriate emotions or emotions that are too strong. When we talk about love, we have to look at the entire spectrum of love, from self-love to love received from others platonically, to love received from others in a romantic sense, to love received from others in a sexual sense. And all of these factors are parts of how we see ourselves. If we never hear from anyone in our environment that we are loved or valued by them, we will begin to feel a lack of that love, and that lack of love will make us feel less secure and more fearful. Similarly, if we do not love ourselves, if we constantly hold ourselves in judgment or shame instead of love, we're also going to be fostering this sense of fearfulness that keeps us from thriving. Belonging is not something that we can just create for ourselves. It is a separate need because it requires a community, and this can be a community of one person. If you are an extreme introvert and your safest place, the place you feel most like yourself, is when you are at home alone, that is a form of belonging. But for extreme extroverts and everything in between the two, there's going to be some level of need for us to spend time with other people and for them to reflect that we belong in that space. If we go out and spend time with people socially and we constantly feel ignored or snubbed, we may feel disconnected and unanchored, which may make us feel a little bit less purposeful in our lives. Esteem is probably the most difficult of these things for us to build when it comes to other people. Esteem refers to the way that other people regard us. When people have a high esteem for us, we call that respect. If they have a low esteem for us, they might call that disrespect. And there's a huge range of different levels of respectfulness inside of that. But if we don't feel like we have esteem from others on a somewhat regular basis, for at least a couple of reasons, we're going to feel like we don't have a lot of value or worth to bring to the table. And that by itself can bring up a lot of unhelpful or inappropriate emotions. When we look at these things through a personal lens, we can find a lot of skills that we can work on to improve our relationship with ourselves. Self-love has to do mostly with accepting who we are and celebrating what our needs are, and the things that we can do, and the things that we can't do. When we can radically accept who we are, what we do, what we like, and what we don't like, we can become champions of our self-understanding, and that by itself will help us have a stronger foundation for building relationships with others. Whether we're talking about self-esteem or respect from others, we have to remember that these are not things that can be forced. You cannot walk into a room and demand respect from others. You will get the opposite result. But if you show up and you are kind and honest and reliable, people will start to value you just because you show them who you are. And anyone who shows up and is immediately offended because you're not giving them enough respect is going to be thought less of. So if you already do that, try to rein that in a little bit and try to approach your self-love, your self-respect, and your self-belonging with a kinder, more compassionate lens, because when you act less insecure, you appear less insecure, and people are more likely to value you. Finally, self-esteem is an important part of understanding ourselves. If we do not like who we are, we have to take steps to change that, either by changing who we are or by changing what we value about ourselves. By doing either of these things, we make ourselves a little bit more solid, give ourselves a stronger foundation. And in doing so, we make it easier for other people to see our worth and to esteem us highly. Thanks again for stopping by. Until next time, remember to be kind to yourself and to others.